G'day, you're watching me on Aussie Beach TV. We're down at the Conscious Cafe with the lovely Petra Helesic. Petra, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you, Kaeh. How are you?
Oh, not too bad, not too shabby. Just wondering, Petra, could you please introduce yourself to Aussie Beach TV viewers and tell us a little about your background in the pharmaceutical industry and also about your new website that you've made?
Great. Well, I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for over a decade in different companies selling different drugs to doctors and specialists. And about 2 years ago, I started looking at natural ways of hearing things, and I came across a lot of information. A lot of my friends and family were asking me for a lot of information that I kept researching and sending them. And in the end, it just became obvious for me to put it into a website so anybody can actually access it and have
Freedom of information?
Freedom of information and make their own conscious choice about what they want to do, because there is a lot of information out there and people really don't know where truth lies. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
So Petra, do you reckon you could tell us a little about your own diet?
Sure, it's very simple. I'm a raw vegan, so I eat 6 things: fruits, vegetables, herbs, seeds, raw honey and nuts. That's our fuel. That's our natural fuel by Mother Nature. So anything else that we put into our bodies, then we wonder, well, the engine's getting clogged up, I'm not functioning properly, I wonder what's the problem. And that's the problem, because we are getting clogged up, our arteries are getting clogged up, people are dying of heart attacks because we're not consuming what we were designed to basically live on.
What about meat though, like with their eye teeth and that? Well, they were obviously there for a reason, aren't they? I mean, omnivores as well?
Well, I believe that we are all earthlings, whether we are humans or animals, we are all here to share the planet and live in harmony.
The hottest girls you will ever see.
GMO foods are a concern for the Australian public. Can you please tell our viewers a little bit about genetically modified foods?
Well, there's a beautiful movie that was made about genetically modified foods called The Genetic Roulette. It is on my website, so people can just go on my website and watch this movie, because that has all the information about genetically modified foods. It's basically playing Russian roulette with nature, because there's people out there that are playing with the DNA of and changing the DNA of Mother Nature, and how we were meant to be ingesting these
Manipulating
fruits
it.
and herbs is being changed, and our bodies don't really recognize this foreign material, and the diseases and the side effects of this are not known yet, but they will be known with all the different diseases that will be happening in the future generations. So it's a very big topic, and I would encourage people to really watch this movie and do their own research.
Check the website out.
Yeah, I guess the thing that really concerns me is that we don't even know what foods are genetically modified and not. When you go to a cafe or restaurant or supermarket, it's not labeled. They don't tell you.
You don't know whether it's organic food or
That's
not.
right. Well, they label organic, but are we supposed to think that everything else that's not labeled organic is genetically modified? I think that's the real problem, that people really don't even know if they are eating genetically modified food. So it's the lack of disclosure that I think is the main problem.
Oh, okay. What are your views on it, Max?
Genetically modified food is being used to basically genetically modify the human race. We've got a huge experiment which is being conducted globally, and we're finding that everything, even the plants and animals, are being genetically modified through the introduction of genetically modified organisms into our ecosystem. These things are incredibly dangerous, and as Petra said, it's Russian roulette. We don't really know what the results will be. Although in many cases we do. We do know that 3 generations of eating genetically modified food will cause sterility in every species that they've tried it with, for example. So what we see really is a depopulation program. You know, once we have specific breeding programs, you know,
Cut down the human population, pretty much.
Well, absolutely. And if you start feeding GM food to people, you alter the organism, and as I mentioned earlier, we basically live in a people farm, we've got governments which are basically the CEOs of a people farm. In order to make this people farm more profitable, you need to be introducing diseases into the livestock so that you can sell the medicines. So you find that a lot of the genetically modified foods and Monsanto and all this sort of stuff have huge links to pharmaceutical companies as well. It's all tied together. They create the sickness, they create the imbalance in the organism so that they can create sickness, so they can sell you food, and they also genetically modify you to create a certain genetic environment for certain plans they may possibly have in the future.
Wow. Yeah.
And we can see around that fertility clinics are a huge business. A lot of women can't have babies, they are infertile.
A lot of men too now as well.
Men, so that's where they go, and a lot of money is spent in those clinics because women desperately want to have a baby and they can't. So it's a huge problem.
Yeah. Well, if Australia wakes up and does something about it, maybe we'll be able to get a change.
Well, getting it changed, we need it changed, but and people are always calling about labelling, and labelling's good, labelling is all very well, but really we need people to gain an understanding of what these foods are really doing, and we need them to be banned. We don't need them to be labelled, we need them to be banned altogether, because this is Russian roulette with nature, and these things are getting into our environment and they're contaminating our environment. We've got certain countries in Europe that have banned genetically modified foods. Peru has recently banned genetically modified foods, or a 10-year ban anyway. We need a global ban on all GM food. These
Who
things
started it in the first place?
Well, Monsanto and companies like this, these all come out of think tanks run by people with ties to pharmaceutical companies, Rockefellers, all these sorts of people. I mean, it's all about control, really. All of these things that they do, the cell phones, the mobile phone towers, the GM food, all of it, it's all tied together, and it's all about control. And we need a complete ban of these things.
So it's about Monsanto having monopoly in the herbicide market with Roundup, and that was basically most of the crops were modified, starting with corn, and then soy and canola were modified to basically not respond to this herbicide while everything else gets killed. So you wonder if that strong herbicide is sprayed on that plant and then that doesn't basically respond to that herbicide, and then we eat that, what actually happens in our bodies. So it is a huge problem, and it's purely economically driven, which is the sad part.
Well, it's a major concern. I wasn't even aware of half of this information, to think what the Australian public don't know. And we're poisoning ourselves, basically, at the end of the day.
Oh, people are slowly waking up to the truth.
Exactly. Thanks to Aussie Beach TV.
Hottest girls you would ever see.
What are the benefits of eating raw foods?
Well, this is the one way that people can actually help themselves becoming healthy and to somehow conquer this whole genetically modified food crisis that's out there. Eating organic raw foods will not only reverse most of the chronic diseases that people suffer from, but also make people feel better, look younger, be fitter, have more energy.
Stronger immune systems as well.
Build up their immune system, basically bring the body back to balance, because our bodies are totally out of balance now with what we are ingesting in the environment that we're living in. So the benefits are countless, and it's basically going back to Mother Nature and living in balance with Mother Nature. And as God created us and nature, basically going back to that, living a very, very simple life and eating pure organic raw foods, because we are what we eat. Everybody knows that. So
What about raw sugar though? Is that really raw, or is that refined still?
raw sugar is well, I can only speak from my research of what I do. The only sugar I use is evaporated cane juice or sweeteners, natural sweeteners such as agave syrup, or I would use dates. Processed white sugar is basically pharmaceutical sugar, that's what I call it, pharmaceutical drug or pharmaceutical grade sugar, and it's worse than heroin. It is so addictive, and you can see it clearly on kids. You give them anything sweet, anything with sugar, and you can see their reaction. It is very, very harmful. And that's why they put sugar into everything these days that you buy in supermarket to make you basically addicted to that product and make you buy more.
Exactly, and I don't want to see the kids' reaction when you say no to sugar either.
Well, this is why you don't introduce it to the kids' diet, and you basically feed them natural produce. And when I have my friends arguing with me, but when you put on a table, raw foods, fruits, vegetables, and then processed stuff filled with sugar, and you let the child choose, they will always choose the natural produce. It's only by us forcing them to eat something which is for us more convenient, then the child will start craving the chips, the fast food, the McDonald's, the whatever sugary lollies, and then you have a problem, and then it's very hard to reverse that.
Hottest girls you would ever see.
Fast food is not really food. It's basically a food-like product. So it may taste like food, but it isn't actually food as such that we were designed to ingest. And it causes all sorts of havoc in the body, and later on develops into sickness because the body doesn't know how to process it, and all the toxins basically remain behind. And it is a problem, especially with children. McDonald's advertising to children, they want to try it, and it's a dangerous thing. I think it should be banned.
What are your thoughts on this?
Fast food? Well, it's great for the pharmaceutical industry. It creates a lot of sickness, creates a lot of obesity, creates a lot of apathy. You feed a lot of people GM food through fast food as well. You find most potatoes are GM.
3-year-old cheeseburgers.
Yeah, all of these things are very, very bad for you. So they create sickness. And basically that's what society does. It sells sickness to the population.
And not only that, but they're the only ones with the cure.
Well, yeah, it sells you sickness so I can sell you the drugs. And the drugs don't actually treat the sickness. They only treat the symptoms that the sickness creates. So because they're only treating the symptoms and not the actual sickness, this creates more sickness. So then they can create and treat more symptoms, so you end up on massive amounts of drugs.
I would recommend people to read Eric Schlosser's book called Fast Food Nation, which describes the whole industry very brilliantly and opened my eyes when I read it about 3 years ago. So again, it's about education and being aware of what's actually happening, not only in the industry but behind the scenes as well.
The Fast Food Nation, you said?
Yeah.
I'll have a look at that when I get home.
Pretty much the way fast food came about is it's one big worldwide real estate company. They buy up the best places on freeways and the best spots in cities, and they needed something to fund that, so they put shit food that's not even real food. And parents are lazy now, promoting to their kids, hey, it's all right, don't worry about real food. Yeah, you can have a toy. It's not a treat, You're screwing your body up for the sake of making Ronald McDonald rich. And all they're doing is they're going to, in the middle of nowhere, nothing out there, hey, look, there's a big M. So society is following fast food. They're following the Coles and Woolies, and you're not taking time to really take the real food into your body. You're not going to be fulfilled, mind, body or soul, with the shit you're shoving in your mouth, eh?
You're watching me on Aussie Beach TV.
Aussie Beach TV. You're watching Aussie Beach TV. You're watching